Believe me, Moneybag Yo just hit 34 years old. And honestly, his story right now is heartbreaking. This is the exact same man who built his entire identity on money, on wealth, on the promise of never going broke again. The Rolls Royces, the diamonds, the designer wardrobe, everything, the chart-topping albums, all of it was meant to prove that he actually escaped. That the boy from South Memphis who had nothing had truly made it. But underneath all that glow, the money was never as massive as he wanted the world to believe. The lifestyle everyone bought into, someone else was footing the bill. And what has just surfaced is about to completely flip how you view this man now. The music, the flashy life, the whole rags to riches tale, every piece of it. We're about to unpack this from top to bottom. Stick around. Yo, what's up, fam? Welcome back. Look, before we dive in, y'all need to understand something first. Moneybag Yo isn't just some random rapper. This man built a whole empire around the belief that he had money, that he rose from nothing and turned it into something truly massive, and that the life he flexes for the world is genuine. That's been his image since day one, right from the jump. So when facts start emerging that challenge all of that, it hits harder than it would for anyone else, because the money is literally built into his name, and what we're about to dig into strikes right at that foundation. So get ready, because this story runs far deeper and darker than any headline has dared to explore. Let's be completely real from the start. Mario Dwayne White Jr. was born September 22, 1991, in Memphis, Tennessee. South Memphis, to be precise, in Walker Homes. And if you know anything about Memphis, that neighborhood never handed anyone an easy way out. His mother raised him single-handedly. The lights weren't always working. The water wasn't always running, the furniture wasn't always there either, honestly. This man grew up living poverty firsthand, the kind most people only ever hear about in lyrics. And ironically, those exact struggles would later become the real foundation of everything he eventually built. He started calling himself Moneybag Yo and dropped his first single back in 2011. For the next several years, he stayed grinding solo, releasing mixtapes and projects like From the Block to the Booth, Relentless, All Gas, No Brakes, Federal Reloaded, and ELO. None of these were major label drops. This was pure grind, straight Memphis hustle, building a loyal fan base through sheer consistency. Now let me break this down properly. In the early days of his career, Moneybag was pulling in somewhere around $2,500 to $20,500 a show. That's genuinely it. He wasn't a superstar yet. He was just a hungry kid out of South Memphis who could clearly picture the destination but hadn't arrived there. Everything shifted in 2016 when he signed with Yo Gotti's collective music group, finally giving him real infrastructure, distribution, and a bigger stage. Then Federal 3X dropped in October 2017, his major label debut through Interscope Records, landing at number 5 on the Billboard 200. That wasn't luck at all, fam. That was years of grinding finally paying off. He followed with Too Heartless in 2018. Then his debut studio album Reset that same year, hitting number 13 on the Billboard 200, featuring J. Cole, Future, and Kodak Black. Then came 43 Heartless in 2019, followed by Time Served in January 2020, giving him his first Hot 100 charting single, and then the true breakthrough, A Gangsta's Pain in April 2021, his very first #1 album on the Billboard 200. His signature hit Waukesha had the entire culture locked in. Moneybag Yo had officially become one of hip-hop's biggest names. His Speak Now project followed in 2024. That commercial momentum never slowed down. His feature list reads like a roll call of the genre's biggest names. Future, Lil Baby, Gunna, Megan Thee Stallion, Glorilla, Lil Durk, Morgan Wallen, and the lavish lifestyle that came along with it all became just as famous as the music itself. Lamborghinis, Rolls Royces, custom-made jewelry, designer outfits, 8 kids he openly talked about supporting. He embraced Islam back in 2018, moved from Memphis to Atlanta for his own safety, and by every outward measure, had truly conquered the streets. For a boy who grew up with no electricity or running water in South Memphis, that success carried real weight. It was validation. It was the entire point of the climb. But now here's where things turn genuinely explosive, because how that empire was truly built has become the center of a lawsuit that's shattering everything people believed about this man's rise. Now, this is exactly the part that has the internet absolutely losing it. Because while Moneybag Yo has been living like he owns the world, a legal battle has quietly been unfolding in the courts of Shelby County, Tennessee for years now. And when it suddenly resurfaced in headlines, fam, people started throwing around words you'd never expect for a man with a #1 album. Words like exposed. The woman behind this lawsuit is named Sherry Jackson Floyd. Her story begins long before Roc Nation, long before the chart-topping albums, long before any Rolls-Royce ever entered the picture. It traces back to 2015, inside a Bank of America branch, where Jackson Floyd worked as a financial professional and first crossed paths with a young DeAndre White. Back then, according to court filings, the man who would eventually become Moneybag Yo was making somewhere between $1,500 and $2,500 a show. His finances, the complaint claims, were a total mess. His credit was wrecked and he was, according to the filing, constantly landing himself in trouble. But Jackson Floyd recognized his potential, and per the legal complaint, the two grew closer toward the end of 2016, right when he was about to sign with CMG. She says she took on the role of both his personal manager and his business manager. And what unfolded from there is where the story becomes far more tangled than any headline has truly captured. Let's break this down properly. According to the complaint, originally filed in Shelby County Circuit Court on September 20th, 2019, and later amended in September 2022, Jackson Floyd didn't simply offer advice from the sidelines. She claims she got fully involved in ways most people would never anticipate. She filed trademark registrations for his growing brand. She handled the paperwork required to legally establish Bread Gang Enterprises as a limited liability company in Tennessee. She managed the daily operations behind the scenes. And beyond just business administration, her legal team claims she used her own personal funds and credit to pour between $1.5 million and $2 million straight into building the Moneybag Yo brand. That's not an exaggeration. The lawsuit alleges she personally bankrolled major parts of the image the world eventually associated with Moneybag Yo's rise. Her attorney, Ralph Gibson of Gibson Perryman Attorneys at Law, told reporters she cleared his credit card debts whenever he reached out for help. She bought him $50,000 worth of jewelry. She paid for social media promotion campaigns to boost his online reach. She reportedly even helped look after several of his kids. And then there's the Rolls-Royce. Per the complaint, she put down $125,000 on a Rolls-Royce used specifically to build and promote the Moneybag Yo brand image. The very car that helped sell the lifestyle. The very flex meant to convince the world this man was already wealthy, was allegedly financed using her own money and her own credit. And that single detail, fam, is exactly what set the internet ablaze with the phrase, "fake it till you make it." But here's where it gets even more intense. Because the lawsuit doesn't stop at claiming she spent her own money shaping his image. It also alleges she was promised specific compensation in return. Court documents state Moneybag Yo promised her $5,000 weekly. He allegedly promised her a Mercedes G-Wagon and even 1/3 of all past and future brand earnings through Bread Gang Enterprises. The complaint claims these promises were sealed through handshake deals. And it goes even deeper than that. Text messages included in the lawsuit as evidence reportedly show Moneybag Yo directly telling Jackson Floyd that he planned to pay her $5,000 weekly, acknowledging her role in his success and confirming the G-Wagon promise too. Those are his own words, captured in documented messages, fam. The exact kind of evidence that becomes nearly impossible to dispute inside a courtroom. Now here's the critical part everyone needs to grasp. These remain allegations within a civil lawsuit. They're claims made by just one side of a legal battle. They reflect Jackson Floyd's version of events, exactly as laid out in her complaint. None of it has been proven in a court of law. No judge, no jury has ruled Moneybag Yo liable for anything in this case, not yet. These are accusations, not confirmed verdicts. And that difference matters massively because the internet hasn't always respected that line. Now let's talk about the third party wrapped into all this. Because Sherry Jackson Floyd isn't just targeting Moneybag Yo in this case, she's also named Roc Nation, Jay-Z's powerhouse management company, one of the most influential organizations in the entire entertainment world. Her legal team's argument is that Roc Nation didn't walk into this situation blind. The complaint claims that by 2018, Roc Nation had already grown interested in Moneybag Yo, and per the lawsuit, They were reportedly made aware of Jackson Floyd's existing role in his career before ever signing him. Yet once Roc Nation stepped in as management, the lawsuit alleges they ignored her contractual stake, never negotiated any kind of buyout, and effectively pushed her out of a business she helped build from scratch. Attorney Ralph Gibson labeled this tortious interference with contractual relations. In simple terms, the lawsuit claims Roc Nation knowingly stepped in and disrupted an existing business arrangement. Gibson has publicly stated that standard industry practice in cases like this requires incoming management to compensate the outgoing manager. He insists that never happened here. Roc Nation, for its part, hasn't publicly addressed these claims yet. And again, these remain allegations in an active civil case, not confirmed facts. The real gut punch, though, is what allegedly happened to Sherry Jackson Floyd afterward. Because per the amended complaint, the fallout for her was very real, not abstract at all. The lawsuit claims Moneybag Yo failed to keep up payments on the Rolls-Royce she had financed, and that other accounts tied to her credit also went unpaid. As a result, the complaint states her credit score took a serious hit. And the damage didn't end there. She claims she was ultimately fired from her banking job, partly because of these financial fallout effects. So according to the lawsuit, the very woman who allegedly she poured her own savings, her own credit, and years of professional expertise into helping build one of Memphis's biggest rap empires, only to end up losing her entire banking career in the process. Her attorney has placed her total investment in the Moneybag Yo brand somewhere between $1.5 and $2 million. And now Jackson Floyd is seeking $100 million in compensatory damages from Moneybag Yo, Bread Gang Enterprises, and Roc Nation, along with punitive damages specifically targeting Roc Nation. She's also requesting a constructive trust that would grant her 1/3 of every dollar generated by the Moneybag Yo brand, dating all the way back to January 1st, 2017, plus a complete accounting of the artist's earnings since. She's demanding a jury trial in Shelby County, Tennessee, currently scheduled for October. Now let me break this down properly, because there's a real question sitting at the center of all this. Why did a lawsuit originally filed in 2019, then amended in 2022, suddenly explode back into headlines in 2026? The answer comes down to timing. Court processes crawl at their own pace. Motions get filed, attorneys switch, schedules shift around. Reports suggest a mix of factors, including scheduling changes and attorney movement, pulled this case back into the public eye recently, and when it resurfaced, it landed in a completely different world than before. Because now, Moneybag Yo wasn't some rising artist making $1,200 a show anymore. He's the Roc Nation-backed, Billboard 200 #1 rapper, publicly tied to Lamborghinis, Rolls-Royces, and major label triumph. That gap between his image and these allegations is exactly why this story detonated online. $100 million, a woman who allegedly helped fund the very Rolls-Royce he used to flex wealth. A text message where he supposedly promised her $5,000 weekly and then allegedly never paid a cent. That's precisely the kind of story that spreads like wildfire, because it feels like a curtain finally being pulled back on something people always suspected but could never confirm. So naturally, social media did exactly what it always does. It ran wild with it, but this is where we need to hit pause. A lot of people heard $100 million lawsuit and instantly assumed Moneybag Yo is going broke. Those two things are not remotely the same. Not even close, honestly. A civil lawsuit is simply a legal claim, it's not a verdict. Filing a lawsuit and actually winning one are two entirely different things, yet the internet almost never draws that line. The $100 million figure represents what Jackson Floyd is seeking based purely on her allegations. Not a confirmed debt, not a court ruling of any kind. Civil lawsuits routinely involve claim damages that have zero direct connection to someone's actual current finances. That requested amount simply reflects what a plaintiff believes their damages are worth, not what's actually sitting in anyone's bank account. What the internet did was take a genuinely complicated legal situation and flatten it into a simple narrative, because simple narratives spread faster. Real talk. It's crucial to separate what's alleged from what's verified. and what a lawsuit states from what a court has actually decided. And here's the thing, fam. Even setting this lawsuit completely aside, the bigger story here reveals something important about the music industry that stretches far beyond Moneybag Yo specifically. Because the dynamic at the heart of this case, an early manager investing heavily in an artist before their breakthrough, operating purely on handshake deals and promises of future payoffs, then getting pushed aside once a major management company arrives with resources and institutional power. That's not a new story in entertainment at all. It's practically as old as the music business itself. Artists in their early years often lean on people in their immediate circle who believe in them long before the world ever does. Those people, friends, local managers, mentors, sometimes even family, pour their time, money, and energy into building something without any formal legal protection for their contributions. And then once the real money shows up, once labels and national management firms and industry machinery come calling, those early relationships sometimes get left behind entirely. The question of who gets paid, who gets credit, and whose agreements actually get honored plays out constantly in courtrooms and arbitration rooms across this industry. What makes this specific case stand out is the documented paper trail, the text messages, the business formation records, the financial transactions allegedly backing up Jackson Floyd's claims. That level of documentation makes a lawsuit genuinely difficult to just dismiss outright. But again, how that evidence gets evaluated, what weight it carries, and what verdict ultimately comes out of it, that decision belongs to a jury in Shelby County, not to social media. Now, let's talk about Moneybag Yo's side of things, because fairness matters here too. This case has been crawling through the courts for years, and Moneybag Yo and his legal team have had every chance to respond throughout those proceedings. As of right now, there's been no widely reported public statement from Moneybag Yo himself addressing these specific allegations directly. Roc Nation has likewise stayed silent publicly on the claims against them. That's not unusual at all in active civil litigation. Legal strategy often means staying quiet publicly while quietly building a defense meant for the courtroom instead. What we do know is that this case is heading toward trial, which means the defendants haven't simply settled or backed down. A trial means both sides get the chance to present evidence, cross-examine witnesses, and lay out their arguments in front of a jury. Those text messages already referenced publicly as supporting Jackson Floyd's claims will presumably be examined directly in that proceeding. The financial records, business paperwork, and every other piece of evidence will get scrutinized. And once that process wraps up, a jury of everyday people in Shelby County, Tennessee, will decide what truly happened and exactly what it's worth. Now take a step back for a second. A $100 million legal battle involving a major rapper hits differently because it sits right at the crossroads of money, loyalty, and identity. Managers who rise alongside an artist aren't merely business partners. Those are deeply personal relationships built on trust and shared belief in something that didn't even exist yet. When those bonds collapse into litigation, the emotional weight is completely different from an ordinary commercial dispute. Who actually built this? Who really sacrificed everything? Who deserves the credit? And who got completely left behind? These questions don't have simple answers, and they definitely won't get resolved in a comment section, but they're exactly what a Shelby County jury will have to wrestle with. For anyone who hasn't kept up, the next court date landed on July 16th, with the jury trial set for October in Shelby County. Both sides remain deep in pre-trial preparations, and what each must accomplish in court is fairly clear. Jackson Floyd's legal team must convince a jury the contractual agreements she claims existed were genuinely real, that she fulfilled her end of those agreements, that she actually invested the money she says she did, and that she was never compensated as promised. They also must prove Roc Nation knowingly interfered with her existing business relationship when they took over management. Moneybag Yo's defense will likely challenge whether those agreements were even enforceable, dispute how the financial arrangements are being characterized, and push back hard against the claimed damages. Roc Nation's attorneys will likely argue the company owed no obligation to arrangements they were never part of, or that any awareness of Jackson Floyd's role didn't create a legal duty to pay her. These legal arguments are genuinely complex, and the outcome remains truly uncertain. That very uncertainty is precisely why this is now headed to trial. But here's where the bigger conversation truly kicks in. Because no matter how the trial ultimately plays out, this case has already achieved something most lawsuits never do. It's forced people to genuinely examine the gap between the image hip-hop artist's project and the actual reality behind how that image gets built and financed, especially in the earliest stages of a career. The complaint itself is remarkably honest about this. Jackson Floyd's attorneys lay out in detail how she and Moneybag Yo allegedly worked side by side, specifically to craft an image of luxury and success that didn't yet match his. Real financial reality. The complaint describes conversations about upgrading the Moneybag Yo brand. It outlines financing the cars, the jewelry, and the social media presence designed to make him look like a rising rap star, whether or not that was actually true at the time. And fam, this isn't a criticism aimed only at Moneybag Yo. That's essentially the blueprint of modern hip-hop branding as a whole. Look wealthy before you're actually wealthy. Sell the lifestyle until the lifestyle becomes reality. Build the perception and let that perception build the career. It's a formula that's worked for plenty of people. But when it collapses, and when the financial relationships underneath it end up in a lawsuit, the gap between image and reality can go public fast and hard. That's the real gut punch buried in this entire story. And it's exactly what clickbait headlines skip over completely, because nuance simply doesn't go viral. Not that Moneybag Yo is broke. There's zero evidence pointing to that. His estimated net worth has reportedly ranged between $6 and $8 million at various points. Though celebrity net worth figures are always rough estimates, never verified financial disclosures. He reportedly earns well over $100,000 per show. He's got streaming revenue, touring income, label backing, entrepreneurial ventures including his alkaline water brand VOR, real estate holdings, and continuous commercial output that comes with being a Roc Nation artist, boasting nearly 15 years of consistent releases. A civil lawsuit, even one worth $100 million, doesn't automatically wipe any of that away. What it does create is legal expense, distraction, a reputational storm, and potential financial liability if the jury sides with the plaintiff. Those are real serious consequences, but they're nowhere close to bankruptcy. They're nowhere close to actual financial ruin, and the internet, blending a lawsuit together with actual financial collapse, is exactly the kind of oversimplified narrative that spreads fast but only ever tells a fraction of the real story. At the end of the day, fam, this story runs far deeper than Moneybag Yo alone. It's about the hidden cost behind building celebrity from absolute zero. It's about the people who bet on artists long before anyone else even believes in them. And what happens to those very people once the artist finally reaches the level they helped create? It's about the industry patterns that have produced this exact same conflict, in different forms, for as long as the music business has existed. And it's about how viral headlines constantly reduce complex legal disputes into emotional stories that feel satisfying to share, but often completely miss the real truth. Sherry Jackson Floyd is alleging she helped build a brand from scratch, spent her own money doing it, and got pushed aside once the major players showed up. Moneybag Yo hasn't publicly confirmed any of these allegations, and the legal process still hasn't resolved a single one of them. What we actually have right now is a genuinely serious lawsuit backed by documented evidence, a trial date locked on the calendar, and a story that has sparked a real conversation about what it truly takes to build a rap career from nothing and who actually pays the price for it. The trial in Shelby County, Tennessee will reveal much more. What that jury ultimately decides will matter immensely. And until that verdict lands, everything else, the $100 million figure, the internet's narratives, the claims of being broke or exposed, all of it remains stuck in that uncomfortable space between accusation and confirmed fact. The truth is still being written. The courtroom doors remain wide open, and the culture is watching every single move unfold. So tell me, what do y'all really think? Is this simply a story about a woman who deserves compensation for everything she poured into someone else's success? Or is there something far messier going on beneath the surface? Because real talk, every legal dispute has two sides, and right now, only one side has actually been made public. The defense still gets its moment too, and whatever they bring into that courtroom could completely flip this entire picture upside down. That other side will get its turn inside that Shelby County courtroom. And when it does, trust me, we'll be right here breaking it all down for you, the same way we always do. So drop your honest thoughts down in the comments right now. I want to hear what you think. And if you're hungry for more real, unfiltered deep dives into the business behind the headlines in hip-hop and celebrity culture, you already know exactly where to find it. Hit subscribe, stay locked in, because this content isn't going anywhere. It's waiting for you right now.